Then there is mimicry. Mimicry refers to the reproduction of the same signals in a different manner of a different species. Yeah. So whenever we talk about mimicry, it's a heterospecific system. So if I'm mimicking someone, then I'm doing it from another body of another organism or another individual, usually from the other species. So vocal mimicry is when an organism learns different sounds produced from an individual or from the environment. So the function of these are usually to attract mates. It is prominently seen in different organisms like bowerbird, superb lyrebird. It is also used to repel rivals, to mob or steal. It is prominently seen in drongos where they use the signals of shikras and different prey birds or predatory birds in order to steal from the prey. They are also used to lure prey, and we have already studied about visual mimicries where different organisms reproduce visual signals with respect to different organisms. Now these are usually morphological and visual changes with respect to the species or with their environment. So they used to camouflaging, that is hiding from the predators. They used to trick or lure prey, mob or steal, parasitism, and pseudocopulation as well. Pseudocopulation is a sort of behavior that is shown by different orchids, and this is prominent among different organisms as well. Different organisms show or modify their copulating systems, or they show if that is the mate and lure in, sometimes to prey upon them, sometimes to use it for a dispersal or pollinating agents. Then all the signals that we perceive, different organisms use them. So these all are changing with respect to the anthropogenic changes in them. So all the changes that is prominently seeing, especially in case of songbirds and different organisms and different animals, you can see there is a change in pitch and loudness of calls with respect to the urbanization, habitat specialization, and changing. So different songbirds, prominently those birds which have prominent and dominant acoustic signaling systems, they have been facing problems with respect to the anthropogenic changes, as because noise pollution is there. Yeah, so they're changing the pitch and loudness of the calls. So this is one prominent change or shift in signals. Then there is shift of vocal niche. As because there is a continuous change of pitch and loudness of call, they have been changing their vocal niches with respect to the other organisms. So whenever we hear a call, there are vocal niches of different organisms. Like the same species produces different sounds, but it happens to be a particular range. Yeah. So whenever we talk about, let's say in hertz, so from 1.4 hertz, 1.4 kilohertz will sound up to 20 kilohertz, let's say. So we'll see that the frogs produce sound somewhat here, okay, lower basis sound. Then the crickets produce sound somewhat here, and birds produce sound somewhat here. And if we find that different organisms produce sounds in different kind of levels, so these are all vocal niches of different organisms. So whenever there is a shift of pitch and loudness of the calls, they are actually shifting their vocal niches and coinciding with that of the other. So this causes entire problems. Yeah. Then there is change in color code due to industrial melanism is a quite prominent case where organisms have been changing their visual signals. Okay, change in bioluminescent pattern seen in fireflies. It is pretty prominent because firefly use that light, in order to show or represent their ideas or thoughts or feelings, emotions, and sort of things. And whenever there is a light pollution, they are not able to show that light to the females and hence die alone. Yeah. So all these changes causes them to change in bioluminescent pattern or even sometimes shift the habitat entirely. Then change in visual perception. Because of formation of fog, smog, and all that, we have faced a change in visual perception, as well as also because of presence of different lighting conditions, we are modifying our lighting perception. Same goes for different organisms. Let's say in a few organisms were prominently active in night. Now because there is a lot of light pollution, the lighting patterns have been shifted. So now they have to adopt themselves. So now they have to adapt themselves in night as well, changing their visual perception. Apart from that, it is also including like shift in activity periods. So some animals, shifted their activity periods from crepuscular to entire nocturnal. Some have, changed the safety patterns. Some have shifted their activity patterns from entire morning to the usual evening time, or sometimes even the day after time. So there have been observations where songbirds, which are usually prominent around the dawn or in the morning, have shifted their activity period to the mid noon, which is Bad for them because the raptors are active in the mid-noon, yeah, or at a time of afternoon. So that causes different problems with respect to different organisms. So these all are shift of anthropogenic. So these all are shift in signals with respect to anthropogenic changes. So that shows that how humans are affecting the signaling methods and signal systems in different organisms, and that is actually affecting the entire life and ecology of different organisms. So it is important to understand that as well. It is an applied science, okay, and these are few important topics because many questions come on the basis of that as well. So understanding the basics that there are multiple kind of signals, then how they are modified with respect to the habitat change as well. So that becomes a experimental and a hypothetical question to address in research. Yeah. So this is it for the lecture. Thank you.